Hello, welcome to either the podcast or the YouTube video, as I've started posting the same content on YouTube as well now, so whichever platform you prefer to use, welcome. And I just want to share a quick story because when I first started YouTube, my first YouTube channel was back in 2020, and was it 2020? No, way earlier than that. It was when I was 20 and I was a professional dancer at that point and started posting videos of my dance. But ever since I was 14, I literally loved watching people like Zoella. You know, when they do like the autumn candles and like the videos of the unboxing of what they bought at Primark or whatever. And I actually did a couple of those back in the day. And it's so funny because I'm back doing YouTube videos and obviously podcast, but in a very, very different way that I just had no idea I'd be talking about these things, and you just don't know where life's going to take you. So that reflection is just hilarious and a good reminder to just let life flow you where you're meant to go. So we're talking about today spiritual awakenings, and I'm going to tell you what a spiritual awakening is so that you can understand it a bit more from my personal experiences, and also what to do, especially when you're just starting to wake up, because I know it's a lot. And if there was something out there that I could understand what I was going through a bit more, it would have been very helpful at the time. And also that there are layers to spiritual awakening as well. For some people, it does just happen all at once. And so for some people, it happens gradually. So I just want to share that as well. What is a spiritual awakening? Let's start with that. A spiritual awakening is waking up to the truths of what the world actually is. For me, my spiritual awakening happened during 2020 when we went into lockdown. And my emotions were everywhere. We didn't have any distractions to not sit with how we felt unless you chose to. I just could not ignore my emotions that were coming out. You question everything about life. I was questioning why women are told to put on pills that suppress their hormones and make them ill, essentially, so that they don't conceive, so that you stop yourself from conceiving. And we're not told all the information about the side effects that it has on us. And why do women have to go on them and not men? And all these type of things. And why are people so mean to each other and blah, blah, blah. All those questions came out for me in 2020. I knew it wasn't depression, even though it felt like that. It was just affecting my hormones, my cycle. Every time I came on my period, I'd be bedbound and I won't be able to get out of bed. I'd have no energy. It just felt like life in front of me felt black and I couldn't see beyond it. It felt as though I was feeling everyone else's emotions as well. I wanted to help people. I'd be crying to my family. I'd be crying to my mum saying, I can help people. I know I can help people. And she's obviously going, you need to help yourself first. Look at you going through this crazy emotional time, which is very true. Of course, I needed to help myself first, but it was like I had this innate knowing that I wanted to just help those people that were suffering. It also just felt crazy that we could be locked down and told what to do and to just stay in our homes. It was like, you know, for me, freedom is a massive thing, and to have our freedom taken away just made me question everything. Also, at this point, I had been a dancer for my whole life, and I decided to no longer dance, mainly because there was no jobs, obviously, for dancers at that time, no entertainment, but also because it just didn't quite feel right for me. I felt like I was constantly trying to do it, because parts of it did bring me joy. I loved dancing, but the industry wasn't making me happy, and it just felt so difficult to do as a career, and it just didn't feel worth it. So to then let go of that ego identity of going through this achievement cycle of knowing that I'd get praise for dancing and claps when you perform and praise that you're an amazing dancer. If I no longer had that identity, I was like, who am I without that? It just was a lot. So shedding identities is part of a spiritual awakening, to let go of the ego, of seeking validation from outside external sources, and also waking up to the fact that there is a higher intelligence beyond what we can see.
You've gone insane! I resisted at first, but now the rhythms of the forest flow through me.
Some people can see it, some people can't. And you start to wake up to the fact that we're told many, many lies so that we don't actually understand the world, because knowledge is power. And higher forces that control everything. If you knew everything, then you'd be uncontrollable. So a spiritual awakening is essentially waking up to the truth of the world, knowing that there's something higher than yourself. And one of the things that made me know that there was something more than just us in this game that we're in is during that 2020 lockdown, I was making masks for the NHS. I hated doing it, even though I had my friend there at the time, so that was enjoyable. And it, gave me something to do at least. When I'd come home, there'd be no one in, and that's when I'd be back with all of my thoughts and just like, what is life? What are we doing? And I had a panic attack. I don't know if anyone's ever had a panic attack, but this was the only panic attack I have ever had. And I genuinely thought I was going to die. And there was no one in the house. So the only thing that I felt I could do was to scream out for help, even though no one was around. So I shouted, "Somebody help me." And all of a sudden I felt this wrap of warmth and tingles around me. And this instant feeling of calmness just washed over me. And I just sat there like, whoa. Of course, my logical mind, I need to see something to believe it or feel it to believe it. My logical mind was going, I didn't even think about it too much, but I just was like, whoa, that was amazing, but also weird. What was that? I don't know. And it's stuck in my mind ever since. That was, I think, 6 years ago now. So it's those little moments, and so many more moments since then have happened to build up that belief and faith within myself that there is something more than just us here. And so I think it's always really important to be open to seeing things, because if you're closed off to it, then you're not going to see it. So being open, asking, I used a question that brought that in. I asked for help because I do know that our spirit guides and higher intelligence can't interfere with your life unless at certain circumstances. But they can't interfere unless you ask, because we have free will. And at that point, I didn't know. I just didn't know what else to do. It felt as though I just needed to ask for help, and it came for me. So I know that sounds a little bit woo-woo, but I can't not be it anymore, because the spiritual things that have happened to me are just too incredible for me to just push to one side now. And when I've allowed it to come into my life, it has been the most magical, amazing thing that I've experienced. And so I just want to encourage you to be more open-minded to experiencing those and asking for more help as well. What's the worst that could happen if you just give it a go? Nothing might happen, something might happen. It's worth a try. So the next thing I want to talk about is how to navigate when you're waking up. I think I've got about 4 steps here. And the number one thing I am going to say is ask for physical support. For so long, I resisted getting physical support because it just felt like no one could understand what I was going through. I knew I wasn't depressed. I knew it wasn't just a mental disorder. I just knew something was going on with me that was unexplainable. And so finding somebody that you relate to help you feel more supported and held during this process is so important, whether that's a coach. And it's exactly what I do. I help people with their awakening process, with a transformation, with helping them find that inner authentic self so they can live a life that feels more aligned to them over living a life that you've created because it's more socially acceptable. And we help balance that feminine and masculine energy within you as well, which is something that we don't know about because it's not something that we're taught. Because again, we kept a lot of information away from us. And the more truths you start to uncover, the more questions you start asking, the rabbit hole just gets deeper and deeper, and the more you find out. It's not for the faint of heart, I will say that. This path is for the people that have that courage and that strength. Because the more you know, the more that you have to deal with. Because when you know the truth, you can no longer just ignore it and bury your head in the sand. But I would rather know the truth than just pretend nothing's happening and I'm in my own little world. And that's my personal preference, and I know it's not everybody's. So asking for help, physical support is really important. I've gotten through a lot of mental challenges, emotional challenges by myself, but it doesn't mean that allowing yourself to receive support isn't needed. As I went through my awakening during 2020, I also went through a deeper awakening just last year as well, and probably a lot of this year as well. And I have had physical support, a lot of physical support from various different mentors and people. And it was the best thing that I did. I generally don't think I would have been able to go deeper as well with releasing and healing myself without them. All right, number one, oh no, I've already given you number one. Number two is regulate your nervous system through yin yoga, meditation, journaling, self-care rituals are going to be your life savior during these times. Regulating your nervous system just means that we're starting to come out of that fight or flight mode. And if you know chakras, your root chakra is that safety, that stability. And what the world does is try to keep us in that fear state so that we're controllable. It's like, I don't know if anyone's seen that analogy where the government have their arms open wide to you. They create all the chaos for you and they say, but don't worry, we've got you. It's like going into the arms of the abuser or the manipulator, thinking that they're the only way to make you feel safe, even though it's an illusion of safety. And once you allow yourself to feel rooted in your own self, you have these chakras. The higher chakras are more connected to the higher realms, and the lower chakras are connected to the physical realms. And the more you allow yourself to root into the lower chakras, feel more safe within your own body, the more that you can sit in the chaos around, knowing that you are always safe, you are always provided for by the earth, and anything that tells you otherwise is an illusion. And for me, that was hard to believe at first, because I'm like, but like, this is just reality. It's chaotic, and it is. But we are always safe. And I don't even know how to explain this, because it's a feeling that you just get when you do the inner work. So nervous system regulation means helping you to feel calm, relaxed. And it doesn't mean that we spiritually bypass our emotions that come through, because we are still going to feel anger and upset and all the emotions, but it's not, you don't allow yourself to just get dragged into them anymore, and you don't react out of them. You just sit and hold your emotions, you feel them, you let them go, and you carry on. So feeling your emotions, regulating your nervous system, so important. I actually do programs where we help people regulate their nervous system. I'm also hosting online yin yoga sessions at the moment every Tuesday evening, 7 till 8 p.m. UK time. You just need to find the practices that really work for you. For me, it was yin yoga, and that was what felt like a spirit-led practice for me to come to. You know, it's about exploring what makes you feel calm, what makes you feel connected to yourself. Because everything that goes on, the chaos, everything is an illusion to make you feel disconnected. That's what they want you to feel, so that you're more controllable. If you're interested in finding out more about yin yoga, I will put that in the description link as well. Inner child healing, so important. And again, something that I work with during my one-to-one feminine healing program with people. We delve back into your childhood. And I'm sure most of you have heard that your most formative years are from 0 to 7 years. And a lot of us can't even remember what goes on in that time. But what's important to note is that if you have certain patterns that are playing out in your life, or certain feelings that keep coming through, it probably and most likely is to do with your childhood. And it doesn't mean that we need to hate our parents. It doesn't mean that we need to hate anyone that was a part of that. We need to thank them for showing us certain lessons, because I do believe that we chose to come into our certain families and to experience certain things to help you to uncover and get through certain life challenges, because we're not just here to live a jolly happy life. And of course we can live that internally, but we're going to have challenges that we need to work through and get through, because that's how we evolve as a soul. And it's okay to have those moments of mourning and grieving what you thought life was to what it actually is for you now. But going back into your past, making peace with every moment and thing that happened in your childhood, giving her so much love, is so healing and helps stop the patterns that are repeating as you get older, and the cycles that are continuously going round and round as you get older as well. This one's more so for women, but it can be for men. It's again connecting to your emotions, but through your cycle. And I guess if you're a man, it's probably more of it's a different cyclical nature. And I do work predominantly and mainly with women because I have more of an understanding with them. Earlier you heard me say that knowledge is power. And for years and years, women have been suppressed with not understanding themselves. It wasn't actually until that long ago that we were actually put into research and trials of science and how our bodies function because they thought we were just too difficult to understand, which is just hilarious. We've also been so suppressed with being able to go and live our lives the way we want to, being forced to be stay-at-home mums, or we were taken apart during wartime from our partners. And it's so magnetic for the whole world when your energy comes together with a man and a woman who love each other so much, because love literally does conquer all. And the more that you're in that love vibration, the harder it is to control you, because it's just a powerful force that is unbreakable. So there's so many things I could go into, and maybe I need to make that into a different podcast episode and bring in some research evidence of it with all the things that have happened. I'll link actually a Womb Awakening book that opened my eyes to so much more about the suppression of women, how men used to worship our womb and women in general, because we are the connectors to the spiritual realms. We are the birthers and creators of the world because we have a womb. Men can't birth babies, women can birth babies. And it's not that men can't create things, but they can't without a woman, and we can't create things without them either. It's a two-way thing, of course. So getting to know your cycle, whether you're menstruating or not, it doesn't matter. Getting to know your emotional and energetic cycle, meaning what's your energy levels and mood like in each week that you go by. Documenting that so that you can understand and bring more compassion to yourself as well, because I used to feel really annoyed at myself when I had no energy one week, and then the next week I'd have so much energy. And getting to understand my cycle was the thing that helped me to find more compassion, to say I'm not a cyclical being that I wake up every day and feel the same and want to do the same thing every day. I'm a woman, I do not work the same as a man. And when you get to understand the way you are, you're able to support yourself. You're able to receive more and ask for help from other people without feeling guilty for resting or needing more sleep or rest for it. The thing that hustle culture keeps us trapped into thinking we've got to keep going and going at the same pace all the time. You've got to keep getting more money. You've got to keep getting more. We actually need less. And that's what this brings you back to, this program, my one-to-one feminine healing program, and all the coaching work that I do, is knowing that you never need more. You actually need less. You need to come back to yourself, the wholeness that you were actually born with, undoing all of the conditioning that's happened to you and finding that wholeness within you. How do you start doing that? If you don't have a period, it depends where you are. If you have any questions on it, please comment below or send me a message on Instagram, which will be linked below as well. You need to look either at the moon cycle and start following that so that you can see where the moon is, see how your emotions are reflecting with it and your energy levels, what foods you crave, productive you feel, or how sleepy you feel with your energy levels. And if you do have a cycle, if it's irregular or not, you still do the exact same weekly process. How do I feel? Whether that's daily or weekly, you want to do it, it's up to you. But the more you delve into your cycle, the more you start to uncover, and the more you understand and appreciate being a woman. Because I don't know about you, but for so long, I used to think being a woman was a curse and hated having periods and just wanted to dissociate out of my body through an eating disorder, and I couldn't deal with all my emotions. I didn't want to be in this body, which the most spiritual and profound thing that we can be is being in this body, in this human experience, in this 3D world. So if you are somebody that is disassociating, whether that's through food, alcohol, that might be an indicator that you're needing to come back to ground into yourself and find acceptance through nervous system regulation, all the tools that we've talked about, feeling your emotions and finding some support to help you as well. I hope that helps you with your spiritual awakening journey. I know that it can be a lot, so I just want to say that I am here for you if you're going through it, or if you're just feeling lost in general. Please give me a message on Instagram, and I'm always happy to chat with people. And if you want to know more, if you want me to support you in any way, then also get in touch either through Instagram or by email, which will all be linked down below. Thank you so much for listening. Sending you so much love and relaxation and good vibes as we navigate this life that we're living right now. And I'm so glad that you're here and we're going through this on Earth together. One thing that I always think about is, isn't it amazing the people that we come into contact with that we decided to incarnate on Earth at the exact same time. Like, what are the chances? How cool is that? Anyway, thank you so much for joining. I'm actually doing a giveaway on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Once we hit 21 5-star reviews, then I'm going to be doing a free one-to-one coaching call. So make sure you screenshot that and send it to my email. Otherwise, I don't know if you've left a review or not, and you'll be in the chance to win a one-to-one free coaching call. Thanks so much for being here. Lots of love.